Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Canadian Gamers. It's going to be a very special episode because we're going to be talking about things that Steven has wanted to talk about for decades and has actually been talking about for decades. But before we begin...
my neighbors just decided to
It's okay.
pass
That's
the
fine.
snowblower, so that's going to be fun.
No. You can barely hear it. It's fine. It's fine. Besides, like you mentioned before we started, quality is not our forte. So first things first. The topic of the day is how I almost died, caught a pneumonia. No, it was not the coronavirus. I'm not the first person in Canada to get it. Although for a while there, it might as well have been. Because it was pretty brutal. It was in the hospital and everything. But I'm here now. I'm on a long progressive return to work. And so that means absolutely nothing.
No, but you're underselling this, I believe, because when you're saying you almost died, it's not like, oh, I was so sick I almost died. You literally almost died when the doctors told you he didn't think you would make the night during the Christmas holidays, which is kind of expected because you're, 75, 78 now? You're getting old?
Well, that's it, exactly. Like in my, I call these my golden years. But yeah, no, seriously, it's, I don't like really talking about myself about this kind of stuff. But yeah, that's pretty much what I was told. It was like basically if I did not go when I went, my lungs basically were at the point where my right lung was down to 3% and my left lung was down to 25% working capacity. And given how fast the infection was spreading, they were basically like, if you didn't come when you did, you likely would not have made the next night. But I'm here to still annoy all of you, and by all of you, I mean Steven. So there we go.
Yeah,
and
I'm glad you're back to your normal self, because I had to be on my best behavior during Christmas. Couldn't call you a monster, couldn't harass you about anything. I didn't
he's full of crap.
Bitch about you not doing my Pokemon and Mario review you still haven't done, you bastard. But I didn't say anything about that because you were on your dying last breath. But now that you're back...
Great. Super professional. This is super professional here. So lately, because I was off and I was like delirious and I couldn't really, to be fair, I really couldn't do anything. Even to be honest, like reading was virtually impossible. Watching TV was very difficult, like movies or something like that. I slept a lot and I couldn't do anything because I had a very hard time concentrating. So what I would do was like, thanks to the Switch, to be honest, I was just in bed and I would play a random game here and there. And I decided like, okay, well, I guess now would be a good time to go back and finish off the Pokédex from Sword and Shield, because it's a perfect type of game that you can play like 10 minutes, 20 minutes, and you don't really need to think. The Pokédex for the most part, it points you to Pokemon that you have battled before, so it was perfect. I like legit didn't have to think about anything. It just pointed me exactly where I needed to go, capture the pokes, and away we go. And obviously, like as I started feeling better, I started to invest more time into it, and then I started telling Steven, I was like, okay, man, let's do this. And so he was helping me trade a bunch of pokes, get some stones, and help me out and tell me where certain things were. And what? Like it was like maybe a week or two later that I had completed the 400 Pokemon Pokédex. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's your second straight game you did this. Well, no, actually, I don't. Did you do that? Yeah, you did it for Let's Go too, right? It was only around 152, I believe. You did it.
Yeah. So
it's the third straight game because you did it. You didn't do it for Sun and Moon, but you did it for Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, which was a lot more than this, which was, I believe, 450.
Oh, I don't remember. It was a lot.
Like that.
Yeah, maybe. It was a lot.
And then Let's Go was easy, and this one was not that easy actually, because there was no GTS in this one.
Yeah,
like exactly. With the other ones, you could always go to the GTS, And even though sometimes people would ask for a Mewtwo for a level 1 Rattata, this most of the case you could always find stuff in there, so it was a lot faster. But no, this one I found was a lot of fun to complete because of the wild area. Basically 95% of the Pokemon are available during the wild area. Some are extremely rare, will only spawn like once every 2 or 3 months depending on the weather. But most of them are in there, including most of the pre-evolutions and the full evolution. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and because like you don't know that, right? Like you don't know where like a Gengar is gonna pop up, right? Like you just don't know. You have no idea where he's gonna. I think that's how it's pronounced. And so like Steven and I did that as a trade evolution, but like after we did the trade evolution, every freaking time I would go to a certain area, I'd see him walking around, and I was like, "Damn it!" Because there's so many like that I had no idea. And even now, like as I go around and do raids, I'm just amazed at how many of like the full evolutions are there for like trade pokes and other ones too, which is really, really cool. Honestly, I'm truly excited for the expansion because it's supposed to be, well, isn't it like the whole expansion is going to be like a giant area like this?
Yeah. Basically, both expansions are adding 2 wild areas to the game. So, like, I'm right now, I think I'm at 215 hours into the game, and probably like 200 of those were spent in the wild area. So for me, that's a lot for $30 for both. It's $15 each. That's a lot of value for. Considering how much time I spent into these, and they're adding 200 new Pokemon, and also for those who don't want to pay, they will have access to those Pokemon either via trading with other people or Pokemon Home. Of course, Pokemon Home will not grant you the new Pokemon, but you can always trade those because most of these will be breedable, so there's a way around it. So it's not a I don't know. I don't know why people were complaining about the price of these. These seems pretty fair value, but yeah. Just before we move along and talk about some of the stuff, I wanted your full kind of just your basic rundown of what you thought about Sword and Shield, since you've now completed the Pokédex in Shield, and you've also went ahead and completed Sword with a super team me and Cranberry created for you. So. My review's up. I was curious to hear what your thoughts were about the games.
Yeah, okay, sure. But before I do, I have a question. I just don't want to forget. Should I buy the expansion on both, or do you think one is enough?
I think one is enough. Knowing me, I probably will end up doing both because there's probably going to be some exclusive items in Pokemon, but I don't think those will be tradable. And there's a character that's exclusive to each, but I don't think the story difference will be that much. So no,
I was actually thinking more about the legendaries. Like, will each one have exclusive legendaries? Because in that case, they'll have no choice.
Yeah, but in this, I don't think you need to buy right away. You could always decide later.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. So I'll do that. Okay. So thanks for that. So. First off, like when I played through Shield the first time, right? Like, well, the only time when I went through the story or whatever, I basically shared the same sentiments as you. I think for the most part, I thought the ending was kind of like, okay, like I saw where they were going with this. Like I kind of got it. I don't want to spoil anything, but it's still, I was like, I hope they don't go where I think they're gonna go. But they did, and I felt it was, I don't know, it was like, I don't know, they should have gone in a different direction, I think, in terms of the story. I just thought it was kind of weird, and for the most part I really, really enjoyed like the quote-unquote rival. I liked the way they did that in this one, like the whole Gigantamax Dynamax feature. And when I came back, so after this, I had gone through Final Fantasy IX. I was in the mood for something retro while I was dying. And Secret of Mana. Those were the two that I went through. I don't know why. I just felt like playing those. And then I came back and I was like, okay, well, like now I'm really dying, literally. So I'm going to complete the decks. And yeah, other than the what was it, the GTX, the Global Trade System, or whatever it's called, that could have helped for some, but I actually really enjoyed like the whole raids. I love it. The only thing that I kind of I don't know how to say this. I understand completely why they have the events run for as long as they have, where it's like right now it's like Lapras and Alcremie, or however they're pronounced. And I get that. Like, I understand why they have these sort of events going on. But when you start to what I call hardcore raid, so like when you spend like a good 2 hours, like going around and all you're doing are raids, you notice the two biggest weaknesses that I find with the game. One, which is what you've discussed like ad nauseum, which is the horrendous online system. I actually kept a record, like, I don't know, like 2, 3, 4, 9 days ago, I don't know. And I was at 97% of the times I went to join a raid, it was no longer active. Yet the sticker or whatever it is, the notification had just popped. That's horrendous. Like, that's absolutely horrendous that my failure rate was that much. And 80% of the raids that I started would be empty. So I'd wait the duration and no one would join. And the other sort of thing that I was alluding to with these events is that I cannot tell you how many Laprases and Alcremies I have fought. It's like gajillions of them right now, and I get it. Like I said, I totally understand why they sort of went in that direction to have these sort of like event things. But now I'm at the point where it's like, okay, I've caught so well. It's not that I've caught so many, but I've battled so many of these that there's no longer a challenge. Like I can take on a 5-star raid with a 6-slot shield solo and beat it, just because like I have the perfect strategy for those two pokes, and that takes some of the fun away there a little bit. Like I kind of wish it was just a little bit more like the RGN or RNG or whatever it's called was just a little bit more favorable for some of the other pokes. But then again, that also makes it a lot of fun, right? Because then when you do like stumble across one of these other pokes, you're like, oh, cool. Like, I'm not sure how this is going to play out or whatever. But I really do hope that that either a patch or something gets released to improve the connecting aspect of the game, because right now, in my opinion, it's not bad. It's absolutely horrible. Like I've never actually experienced anything like this before. Like I don't know. And I did a lot of reading on GameFAQs and on YouTube, which obviously I didn't read, but I watched. And I'm totally lost. Like some people are saying, like mess around with your settings, like your friends and stuff like that, make yourself visible. I tried everything, and I swear to you, 9 out of 10 times I cannot connect to either a person or no one can connect to me. The only exception seems to be if the person's on my friend list. That seems to be the only exception. So like if Steven's playing and he's not, shiny hunting or something like that, if I do a call out to an invitation to a raid, he and Cranberry can join like instantly. So it's weird. I don't quite understand what's up with that. But in terms of the overall game, I really, really did enjoy this. And considering Sun and Moon / Ultra Sun and Moon were... they felt very different. There weren't the gyms. You had your kahunas and stuff like that. I thought that this was cool. Like, it was cool to go back to, like, the classic gym sort of scenario. And I really did like the it's not a gimmick, but the mechanic, I guess I would say, of the whole Gigantamax, Dynamax thing. And especially after Let's Go. Let's Go was one where I really, truly... I completed the decks of that one only because it was short. But if that game would have been like 400 or 500 pokes, I wouldn't have done it, because I wanted to go back and check to see if I had the that metal guy there, the very last one. I forget what he's called from Pokemon Go.
Melmetal.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you.
Meltan and Melmetal.
and I already had him, and so okay, cool. But when I went back, I just like played around for like, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes or something, and I was like, okay, yeah, this is horrible. Like I really don't like the catch mechanic of that game. Like I really truly don't like it. And so coming back right now, just to wrap up is, because I know I've spoken like way too long. With Pokemon, it's really easy to harp on the negatives. It truly is. Like I just did. I spent like 10 minutes talking all about how horrible the online is. But I think we do that a little bit too much sometimes, and you neglect the fun aspect. And it truly is fun. For a guy that likes like cooperative, the fact that like there's an exercise or like a component that Steven, Cranberry, and I, and even Tim can work on together, I think is absolutely awesome. There's so much potential there that I think it's wonderful. The story was really good, except for, like I said, the little bit at the end there. Really love the locations. The wild area I think is brilliant. I hope they keep going with that concept. And the team that Steven and Cranberry made me, I really had fun going through the game again with this like completely different team. And it really was challenging, I'll tell you. It was truly, truly challenging, because when I went up against that water gym, I had literally nobody that I could use, not because of them, but because of the move sets that I had created. I wasn't paying attention to the different types and ensuring that I had something to offset that. So that's something. I mean, Steven and I have been doing this for a while now. When we play the second game, we sort of like make the team, and yeah. So I think that's it. I really am excited to see where these expansions go, and that's that.
Yeah, it's cool. I'm at the 7th gym right now with my playthrough of Shield with the team you and Cranberry created, and it's the team you've created for me is better than what you did with Ultra Sun, because if you remember, the team you had created for me in Ultra Sun, 5 of the 6 Pokemon were weak to bug, which made the totem fight against Araquanid extremely challenging. I believe I died twice at that one, and I never died during Pokemon. But and I even I told you, I even cheated, which I consider cheating when you use revives and stuff like that during a battle, which is not really cheating, but I like when we'll talk later about what I'd like to improve about Pokemon games. This is something I'd like to do, is to remove the abilities to have items during battles. I believe they should let you battle in the game like you do in a competitive game. It's so much more engaging and so much more fun. But whatever, like it was ridiculous, like 5 pokes out of 6 weak to one type. It was like I was a gym leader. That's the kind of team you created for me. So, but this time it's a bit better. It's just I need to evolve some of these pokes, which are hard to do until one needs a Thunderstone, which I'll go check if I can find one now that I have the Rotom bike. The other one only evolves at 50 and then 65, and the other one is the Farfetch that Cranberry gave me, which is really hard to evolve because you need 3 critical hits, and right now I don't even have a move that can land a critical hit more often, and I don't have the item also that gives you a better chance of having critical hits. So hopefully I can get that done. And I've been really I've had the I'm skipping the cutscenes. Like, you have the options to skip the cutscenes, which there are not that many in this game, because I thought this would make you skip everything that had that you could not play in. But no, it's still everything that's in game that there's text. You need to press A and quickly get through it. But the scenes themselves, I'm skipping. I'm going right from point A to B. I'm skipping even the trainers as much as I can. So I think I'm like 7 hours into the game, and I'm already at the 7th gym. Like it's really fun though. But yeah, that's it for me. As for the raid system, I don't know. I think it's the way they've done the system, and I really hope they would go back to X and Y and Auras. Those had the PSS, which is I don't remember what it stands for, player search system or something like that, where you could play like this game, you could connect online and you would see tons of random people, and you would see your friends, and the middle part would be people you've already traded or played with. You would see them there, and you had the option to click on their name and challenge them to a battle, or ask them for a trade and something else. In this game, you do not have that option, and it's really frustrating because the only way to, let's say I want to battle you, I have to text you or email you or call you and tell you, hey, do you want to battle? If so, let's battle using this code. So there's no actual built-in system in the game to challenge each other or to contact each other without doing so with another device, which has been the problem since Sun and Moon, and especially in Let's Go. Let's Go, it's really terrible because you don't even have the option to do random battles and random trades and stuff like that. So this is the problem I have with it, is that you, like in X and Y, if there were max rate battles in X and Y, you would have had the option to join a random max rate battle. In this case, you do not. You have to wait till you see a stamp, and then you have to hope that that stamp is not outdated or that it's not filled out. Because most of the connecting problem you said you have, I don't think it's a connecting problem per se. I think the problem is that they're either giving you old stamps or they're giving you stamps that are quickly filling up.
Yeah, 100%.
100%. When you mentioned, like you said, if you see my stamp, you can easily join it, and there's no problem. Same thing with any of my friends list. It's just that with random people, it seems like they're giving you old stamps most of the time. And when you start a raid, it seems that people for some reason are not seeing these stamps because people are trying to join raids. But like you, when I start a raid, I usually have to start it all by myself, which is, even though most of the raids I can do by myself, you never know with the AI sometimes they give you. So yeah, I think that's the problem. I don't see how they can improve this without doing an overhaul of this system, and this would be unprecedented exactly for Pokemon, since they've never done something like that, although they've never done DLC before, and they're doing that. So you never know, but it's just unlikely so far, because I think the problem is the system itself and not necessarily the connecting issues, because once I've connected online in a raid, I don't really have any problems or any lag. So I'm not sure if you get what I mean. I think the problem is the system itself, but it is definitely a huge issue because max rate battles are so much fun, and it would be like so much better if you could actually do this when you don't have any friends online.
Yeah, and I think you're 100% correct with the issue. I'm saying connecting problems because, well, it is a problem connecting, but not, it's not a technical issue. I agree. I think that's exactly what's happening, is that either the raids have already started, the person's already closed it, or whatever. 100% agree with that. So, okay, we had our little list of things, and the first item on the list, I'm not 100% sure where we were going with it. Was it that we focused too much on the negatives, or you wanted to talk about the negatives? I never remember what we spoke about.
Okay, we did this. We went back and forth on this over text because there was a lot of negative reaction to this game since it started, and even before it was released, there was a lot because of Dexic and whatever. And then the reviews came out, and the reviews were for the most part very positive on the game, but still there was still some negative. And then I released my review, and I was worried a bit because I, like you, really enjoyed the game. But even with Pokemon games that I really, really enjoyed, not that this is not the case, but like Ultra Sun and Moon, for example, I can always spend like 5 minutes talking about why I like this game so much and spend like 30 minutes talking about all the negatives, because it's, as with everything, I always want Pokemon to improve so I can really concentrate this, and I have no issue with this. It's just some people seem to be nitpicking this series, and their experience on it is not that. It's like we've talked. There's a reason Pokemon was not a fad. Most franchise, most series, most cartoons, most whatever, which Pokemon has is in every way. It's a cartoon, it's a game, it's a trading card game, there are movies, everything. most things that started in the 90s are not around today, and even those that are not making like 300 400 million a year for the Pokemon company. It's not like that. And sure, there's a lot of that. That's most of it is due to Pokemon Go, but there's a reason why Pokemon Go is was so popular, because of the foundation is there. And when I released my review, I knew that there was a lot of negative stuff in there that I thought I needed to say to come out, and I was afraid that the negative stuff that I say would have overshadowed the positive stuff that I had to say about the game. And from the comments, it seemed I did not, because I read someone say that he was glad to finally see a positive review of this game, which I'm glad he took that way, because I was afraid, like I said, that my review came out as maybe a little bit harsh. But then Tim came, sent me a message, and he seemed to have only concentrated on the negative parts. And again, he's saying stuff on the streams that I find a bit outlandish and out there, because he's a guy that hasn't really played this series, and all of a sudden he says these outlandish claims like this should be an MMO and stuff like that. And I wish he was here to defend this, because he can. And like I told you, if Tim would want Pokemon to become a walking simulator, it's entirely up to his right. You can have your opinion, you can want whatever you want, you can wish for whatever you want. But it's just like I told you, there's a reason this series has been so successful, and it's still around today, and it still sells like it sells. It's because the foundation is solid, and there's been so many improvements since Gen 1 that people seem to forget. Like, in this game, it's ridiculously easy to make a competitive Pokemon. It takes me like maybe 3 minutes. And I have enough candy from all the raids right now to take 50 different level 1 Pokemons to 100. And it's ridiculous how easy it is to IV train, to EV train now. There's no limit on candy. Even if you forget an egg move, you can now transfer an egg move to a full-grown Pokemon. It's insane, all the improvements that have been made about this game, yet people act like this is a half-ass game. Like, Tim has mentioned that a lot, and it's like at this point I'm beginning to think that it's just trolling. He's trolling me, and people are really overreacting, or just, especially because if you're a diehard Pokemon fan like I am, and even you right now, I'm putting you in that category because you've played these games, like you complete the decks, you are even shiny hunting now. I think you've hatched one shiny already, so it's just that. So that was what I wanted to talk about, his negative criticism, or contrasting what's the word I'm
contrasting, but contrasting what?
No, not contrasting, but constructive negative.
Okay, that's fine. Constructive negative.
Yeah, is fine, but there's something about the series. Like, I have been afraid for so many years that they were gonna do what they were saying they would do with Dragon Quest IX, which is turn this series into a action-based real-time combat, which
exactly.
For me would destroy this. It would be like not the same game at all, but it's many people are saying that's what they want, and I'm like, if the next Pokemon game sells like 1 million copies, then we can talk. If it's not selling anymore, then we can talk about all these. But right now, I'm like really sometimes getting frustrated at all the nitpick and sometimes ridiculous assumptions made about this. Like people talk like this game is broken and it should be an MMO now. So I don't know. That's what I was going. I don't know if you have anything to add to this.
Oh, I do. I absolutely do. I think this is part of the problem with this whole like outrage culture that we're in right now, where people just love to complain. They just love it, and they harp and pick on absolutely anything that's available. And they just complain, and go on and on and on. And it's just what we're seeing right now. And it kind of sucks, to be really honest, because you can't have a real conversation about some of these things. Like when you talk about certain things, right? Like about Pokemon, it's coming from a place where, you know, you've been this hardcore fan for so many years, and you're trying to offer some constructive criticism. I think that's what you were looking for. It's sort of like me with Dragon Quest. Like, I don't want a real-time combat system. If I wanted that, I would play Dragon Quest Heroes. Like, it doesn't make sense. And considering the series sells as well as it sells in its homeland, and yes, I get it. I get it that there's other issues there with the worldwide market and so on and so forth. But the fact is that once a Dragon Quest comes out and sells, like, you know, 500,000 copies, then let's talk. And this is exactly my argument to Tim. And just one sec, I have to cough. Sorry about that. So this was exactly my argument with Tim, was to say that, like, the games sell gajillions of copies. Why would they change? And they're not going to. It's as simple as that. Like, it would make no sense for Game Freak, Nintendo, the Pokemon Company, Creatures, or whatever they're called, they're the other company. Like, it would make no sense to change anything when it still sells. People love to talk a lot now about Breath of the Wild and saying, well, look, Breath of the Wild changed and it sold gajillions of copies. Yeah, exactly. But take a look at the rest of the series and you realize quite quickly that that series was not selling well. And they experimented, and it did. It like exploded, and now the next Zelda is going to ride on that wave of success. But with Pokemon, I mean, these games have sold crazy amounts already, and I don't see them slowing down anytime soon. So there's no need, you know, like there's just no need to change things radically. And to say that the game is a half-ass game, that's trolling. But that's Tim. Tim loves to piss people off, and I wish he was here as well. He's been bugging me forever to like join a podcast, but he's at work right now, so that clearly wouldn't work. But it's, I don't know, it's funny. It's really, really funny. And people saying that like it should go into an MMO, I think is important for us. And I want to talk about that because it's a perfect segue to talk just very quickly about Temtem. I think that's how it's pronounced. Before we get into the main topic, which is like basically, well, I don't want to spoil it, but it's Steven's
wish list, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. So the thing with Temtem is it's in early access right now, and it's so funny because Tim was sending some texts to me, and he's like, "See, like this is the future. Finally, Pokemon has a real competitor." And I was like, "No, whoa." I'm like, there's about 30,000 people that are in an alpha test essentially, or beta test, whatever you want to call it, for Temtem. If the Pokemon Company did this, the same thing, did the exact same thing in terms of like opening a beta test or like an early access for like the next Pokemon, you'd get around 16 million people, maybe even more, that would join it. So I'm like, let's enhance our comm, like let's not get carried away here. You can't. Basically, this is the problem that I find with this outrage culture that we're in right now. It's like people lose all sense of reality, and Temtem is its own thing, heavily inspired by Pokemon, no question about it. Very, very similar mechanics, but also very different in a lot of ways. It's an online MMO, so right there, that limits who can play this at all times. Now, granted, Dragon Quest X, which is an online MMO, is on the Switch, and you can play it in portable mode. Everything's cool. It's fine. So, but you got to be at home. You can't play that on the go, which is something that the Pokemon Company has been very, very vocal about since day one. They believe that this should be a portable franchise, and the only reason it's on Switch is because they have nowhere else to send it. There is no 3DS2 or whatever. And I mean, the Switch is technically also a portable. But anyways, let's get to Temtem. So it's a 2-on-2 basically. So you have two pokes essentially, or Temtems, or whatever they're called. You don't have, what does the PP actually stand for?
In
Pokemon?
Power points.
Okay, so there's no power points. Instead, there's like some moves have their own cooldown. So in a battle, it could be 30 seconds, it could be a minute, it could be whatever. But they share a stamina bar. So that stamina bar controls all of your different moves.
Just
but it's the
I
same
have
thing.
a question with that. Does that mean it's like an active time battle system? Since you can use a move and then you can't use it until a select amount of time passes?
Well, okay, so I haven't played this. Let's be like completely transparent here. What I'm telling you is based off of things I've read online and videos that I've watched. So some of the information may be wrong, but what like the moral that I'm trying to make, I'm not trying to say that Temtem's garbage or anything.
No,
like
no,
that,
no. It's just I had a question with that because it seemed because it would seem to limit the strategy if you're like, let's say I'm playing Pokemon and that's the reference I'm gonna have, and you have a grass type, I have a fire type, and I use a fire move and I put you below half, but then I can't attack you again with that same move until a few moves later. It seems weird, but I maybe that's not exactly how this works.
No, but I think it is. I do think it is, because time, like a cooldown on time, would make no sense, right? That would make no sense because it's not a real time. It is. It's exactly like Pokemon. I make a move, then you make a move, type of thing. So it most likely, the cooldown is most likely, I just don't remember, but Tim can chime in, but I believe it's based on the number of moves. So like the cooldown would be like 4 moves or something like that. But all of the moves that you use are dictated by this stamina system. The idea behind that being that you could strategize which moves to work in unison with each other, keeping in mind that this is always based on this duality. So you always have those 2 pokes out. I'm just calling them pokes because, I mean, the creators have flat out said this is like how they would envision the future of Pokemon. And that's why I thought it would be really cool to ask Steven how he would envision the future of Pokemon. But I'll just finish with Temtem. So all the other mechanics are very, very much in line. The biggest difference being that, so you have 2-on-2 battles instead of 1-on-1. There are some 1-on-1s, but the bulk of the gameplay is that. You have the stamina bar, and you also have the fact that there's no random number generators. So there's no RNG in this at all. So every move is 100%. And that dramatically changes the core gameplay when you compare that to something like Poke, because with Pokemon, there are moves that may have a lower accuracy, but they have other benefits. So you sort of have that gamble of like, okay, well, do I take the chance to use this move against Steven? Like, for example, Tim got really lucky in the battle that he did with Steven because
he didn't even notice. Did you see his face?
I know.
He
I
was
know
just
exactly. but that's just it. But like an experienced player could have been like, okay, well, like if I use this move, there is a chance that the Pokemon could flinch and therefore he'd miss his move, giving me the 1-up. But I could potentially use a more powerful move, a less powerful move, if depending on the accuracy. Anyway, so on and so forth. But the idea behind that being that the RNG was sort of added for the purpose of that strategy. So it really fundamentally does change those 2 series, even though they're obviously very, very similar. They're also very, very different, and I think that's important to state that, especially for me, because like when I first heard about this, I was like, that's actually pretty cool, you know, like the fact that it's like having the wild area, but like everywhere. And there are certainly some aspects that I wish that the Pokemon Company would take notes on, one of which being the overall difficulty. I've heard that the first gym will absolutely destroy you, and that you have to really pay attention to like match types, and like the gym leaders don't just have like like 4 pokes or something like that. Like they actually have a full roster of well put together pokes with like high EVs and IVs and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. That's sort of like Steven's like hard mode type of thing. But anyways, that's all I wanted to say about Temtem.
Okay, so yeah, I'll say a few things that you didn't say. All that you said is true. I also what I really liked that I heard was that you could breed in this game, but the Temtems had a fertility number, so they can't breed forever. They can only breed like I don't know 7 or 8 times per Temtem. And since this is an always online game, you can't cheat. You can't like reset and stuff like that. I think. Like I said, I haven't played this, and that's really cool because they are actually shinies in this game. They're called Lumas, and the odds are even rarer because they're 1 in 6,000 that you can find
Wow.
these. And I'm not sure if there's a Pokédex and if you can have a shiny charm. I imagine you probably can, since like they're heavily inspired by Pokemon. And what's even cooler is that if you breed a Luma with a regular Temtem, the odds are dramatically increased. But if you breed two Luma Temtems together, the odds of getting a Luma Temtem are 1 in 60. But like I said, you have to be careful because these Lumas only have a certain amount of fertility, so they can't breed forever. So if you breed though, if you breed 7 eggs out of two shiny Lumas, or out of two Lumas, you have 1 out of 60. So 7 eggs. What would be the odds of that? I don't know. I can't do maths, but every time would be 1 out of 60 to get a Luma, which is awesome. I know I'd like that because I'm really big into shiny hunting. So that seems cool. I've seen Tim stream this a bit, but like I've seen Tim stream Pokemon, and he's been playing Pokemon Sword and Shield for like what 60 or 70 hours now, and he still doesn't have a clue what he's doing. So it wasn't really that. I haven't learned that much about Temtem, but it does seem cool. Like when this comes on Switch, I will definitely be giving this a try because I love this. I love that this game could eventually give Pokemon some competition because they're basically, let's face it, a monopoly right now, and they are improving, but they don't have that much of an incentive to do so, and whatever the case may be. But like I did say to Tim and everybody, like the developers of Temtem were overwhelmed by the response, but they were saying that if this momentum continues, they will have 2 million players by the end of year one. So Pokemon sold 6 million in its first week, so it still has a few years before it can seriously threaten Pokemon. But if this continues, if this becomes popular, and if they keep improving this, and every year they have more players, it's gonna catch Game Freak's eye and eventually force them to make changes. So that's what I really like about this. And unfortunately, I don't think it's coming to Switch until 2021. So it's still far away. But it's good. The only two things that I'm a bit on the iffy side. The first thing is the always online thing, and the always online thing is good in the fact that it prevents cheating. God knows that there's a lot of cheating in Pokemon. There's a lot of hacked Pokemon and stuff like that. This, I believe, will be harder to do in Temtem, although I'm sure there will be people figuring out a way. But for me, the problem with that is, like I said, you will not be, like you said, rather, you will not be able to play this on the bus. You will not be able to play this at work or whatever. You'll need an internet connection at all times, which is not always an easy thing. But most people play games at home, so for most people, it's not that big of an issue. And the other thing is the timing. We'll see about the timing because since this is 2021 for me. Maybe I won't be playing Pokemon back then, but right now, if this would come on Switch tomorrow, I would have a lot of trouble getting hype or interested in it as much as I will next year, because I'm still playing Pokemon Sword and Shield every chance I get. Like, I'm still heavily invested in this game, and I could not really see myself playing two similar games at the same time. But I think this has a lot of promise. It shows a lot of. It seems like a really fun game, and the developers are clearly huge Pokemon fans. So this can only be great for me and for Pokemon as a whole. and I cannot wait to see this next year on the Switch. And hopefully it does arrive next year. Hopefully it doesn't get delayed or anything like that. But no, it really seems promising.
Yep. So now's the time, man. Now is the time to talk a little bit about what are you hoping for the future.
Okay, so I would have liked to have more time so I could have wrote everything down. So I'm sure I will forget many things because there's a long list of stuff I would like for the next game or eventually to come in this series. The first thing is the difficulty, and this is not just them having a hard mode, because there was a hard mode in Pokemon White 2. It was a bit cumbersome to reach because you needed to have a completed Pokemon Black 2 save file and then link it to White 2, and then if you'd start a new game in White 2 you'd have access to the hard mode, which I did, and it was a lot of fun. What it did basically was all the gym leaders, all their I believe all their Pokemon would be the same level or close to the level of your highest Pokemon in your party, and they would all have 6 IVs and stuff like that. But it's still, I found the beginning was really hard, really challenging, but by the 6th or 7th gym, you had a full team by then and you were really done, and they still didn't have like full six teams to challenge you with and stuff like that. And the gym leaders, most of them had like 6, and their team was still all weak to one type. There was a few Pokemon that would counterbalance that, but it was still the same issue. What I would do first off is, I always tell you to play on set instead of Switch, and then I'm not sure if you do that still.
I do. Yep.
I would completely remove the Switch option, or at least put the set option to default, because there's still people today. One of my friends is like that, who's been playing the series for 20 years, and they still play on Switch, and it's like ridiculously unfair to the AI the way this game is set up, because it doesn't make any sense. It's like, why would, once you knock out one of their Pokemon and they're about to send a Pokemon out, why would you get a free Switch? So let's say you knock out a Blastoise and with Venusaur, and now the opponent is about to send Charizard in, and you have the option to freely change into your own Blastoise to counter that. It doesn't make any sense, and it makes the game ridiculously easy. Like, a lot of people have come to me and complained about the difficulty in Pokemon, and I've asked them this simple question: are you playing on set or Switch? And they don't even know what I'm talking about. And it's like, play on set first off and then come back, because it won't make the game like impossible. And even for someone like me and you've been playing that a lot, it won't really make it hard per se, but it will make a huge difference. So that's number one. I want the default to be to set, and hopefully remove the option to play on Switch. But whatever, if they don't, maybe change it to easy. Maybe like change the lettering so Switch could be easy and set could be normal or hard, whatever, because that is just stupid. The other thing is items. I don't think you should be able to use potions and revives and full heals during a battle. I believe if the enemy uses Thunder Wave on you and greatly reduces or really hurts your chance of winning a battle, you should be forced to strategize and counter that in another way. And there are plenty of moves that Pokemon can learn and berries that Pokemon can equip to counter these things already. And the fact that, because let's face it, potions, revives, full heals are super cheap. You can have unlimited amount of these in your party, and you can heal your Pokemon during a battle as much as you want, basically meaning that you can't lose if you play like this. And I don't think that makes it fun. It doesn't. And just imagine if you would face the Elite Four, and the final member has a really hard to kill Pokemon, and he knocks 2 of your Pokemon before you finally are able to knock him out, and then you knock that Pokemon out, and he sends another Pokemon, and then he uses a max revive on that Pokemon, and he just sends it back right after. It wouldn't make any sense. But you have that option, and they don't. And that's what pisses me off, because usually in RPGs, whether it's Dragon Quest or Final Fantasy, the bosses have an unfair advantage towards you. They usually attack more than once. They usually are less prone to status moves. They usually have tons of the advantage against you to make the game harder, to make these encounters more meaningful. But in Pokemon, you are the one who has those advantages against the AI, and it doesn't make any sense, and I don't understand why they do this. I believe that if you put the default to set, and if you remove the ability to use items during battles, I guarantee you the games would be harder instantly, and people would stop saying this. Because I've been playing this series for years, and even now, when I cheat, I use revives. Like, I have to do this, and I know every move, I know every type, and I know these games inside out, and I still need to do that sometimes. So if they would remove these two basic features, I think the difficulty would be almost night and day. And if you have to chime in, go ahead.
No, I mean, it's funny you mentioned. Well, first off, I'll just add. I'm not going to add anything because I want to hear your thoughts. I don't think I'm qualified for this myself, but just like some of the two main topics that you said about like set and switch. Did Tim play in set?
He did after, I believe, episode 4 or something, because I had told him before he started to stream, I told him, if you play on Switch, I'm not watching this series. And he played on Switch for the first, because he didn't, like, Tim forgets or doesn't seem to be realizing what he's doing most of the time. Like, he's just goofing around and playing and having fun, and that's fine. That's his prerogative. But it's just no. He played on set for the rest of the series.
Okay,
yeah,
cool. Because that's now the first thing that I do is like I go in and I switch it. I agree though, that should be by default, because it really, like, there's zero challenge. Like, there's just zero challenge if you can do that, especially for guys like you that know the names and stuff. Like, for me, it wouldn't be, I mean, it's still an unfair advantage, but it wouldn't be as bad because I don't know all the different names and stuff like that. So I wouldn't know like who to switch out for, type of thing. But still, it's completely, it's an unfair advantage. And in battling, the biggest annoyance that I have had over my brief tenure with the series has been exactly what you said. I don't like when people use full restores, revives, stuff like that. I just don't like that. And I don't do that myself. Like, if a poke dies or gets knocked out or whatever, then that's it. Like, it's out of there. And unless like, you know, I'm in a position where, well, it's going to be like, you know, I'm going to lose completely, but I hate doing that. Like, I absolutely hate doing that. And I had to do that during my second playthrough for the water gym. I had no choice, because I would have just continuously lost over and over and over again. And I was like, damn it. But I actually share your sentiments, which is very interesting. I'd love to hear this, like, in the comments. Like, let us know if you've been like a longtime fan of the series, if you're the same or you're okay with that. Because the more I get familiar with the series, the more I actually agree with exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, because this is basically how competitive battles are. When you play against someone, there's no switching. When you switch, you have to take a move from him. This is why most people, like I just fought Cranberry for 2 battles and she didn't switch once. This is why most people do not switch, because they're afraid of getting a hit back. But it's actually very crucial to competitive battling, is predicting what your opponents will do, and sometimes even switching when you predict the opponent to switch, which makes it very difficult when you're playing against like Jarrod or Tim or Cranberry, because you need to change the way you play. Because if I would be playing against a competitive guy, Not saying that you guys are not competitive. Cranberry almost beat me the second battle, but it's just you have to change the way you play, because sometimes okay, this guy is not staying in. He's gonna switch, and you're trying to anticipate what Pokemon he's gonna switch to base. Okay, should I do this or should I switch? But when you're playing against Tim or you or Cranberry, you can't really have that mindset because they're not going to be switching. So it's different, but it's still fun. The other thing quickly I wanted to mention was with items. By the end of the game or during the game, unless like me you invest a lot of money with clothing, you have a lot of disposable income in the game. And I hate the fact that trainers that you face, your rival or the lady, I don't remember her name, that's doing all the research, they keep giving you free items, free potions, free revives, free full heals. I hate that. Let me buy those stuff from the damn Poke Center, so then when I'm done with battles and I need to heal myself with potions, that I can actually use that. I don't know why they're giving you away free stuff. They're removing. It's like they're trying to make sure that the game is not hard. It's. I don't know. It's annoying because when I played Pokemon as a kid, Red, Blue, Yellow was really challenging for me, and it didn't stop me from playing. And I don't think the kids. I think the kids today are probably similar to that. I might be wrong, but I think there is. And like I've told you, I think Game Freak doesn't realize that I'm pretty sure the majority of their players are actually in their 20s.
Adults.
Yeah. Actually
no,
adults.
I agree.
So that's something that really been annoying me, and that's something that seems to be happening a lot since Generation 6. I don't think this was in the DS games and the Game Boy Advance games, but now this overabundance of items that AIs give you to basically you don't need to buy anything in the Poke Centers when it comes to potions and stuff like that. Like maybe there's a few exceptions here and there, but the AI for the most part gives you an unlimited amount of items during a playthrough, and it annoys me because I wish they would give me a reason to spend my money on stuff. Okay.
Yeah, man. And I want to make one quick comment about the whole switching thing. I don't really play competitively like at all, but today I think if I did, I think you would notice an increase in the switching, because now like I switch way more often than I find I used to. Like when I played the even though like I've been playing on set since like forever, since you told me. I find like this generation in particular, I have been switching like all the time, like trying to get like that one up or trying to strategize, even though it's not the same, right? Like it's not the same at all. I've been trying to do that like more and more. So I think I wouldn't be keeping like pokes in there unless of course, you know, they have like unless there was a reason to do that. Mm-hmm. And I've also started to use way more items than I've ever used before. And when I say that, I don't mean items like revives or anything like that. I'm talking about like
berries
the
and
items
stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. Like I never did that before. Even Gen 3, which was it Gen 3 that introduced that? I
Gen
think
2.
So, no?
Gen 2.
It was Gen 2. Okay, all right. Like I never bothered, but now I am. Like I have leftovers on my pokes.
Yeah.
I have, you know.
Yeah, the items,
Sorry,
the competitive items that are the most useful are Choice Scarf, Choice Bandit, and Choice Specs. Those are items that limit you to only one move. But like Choice Band, for example, Choice Band gives you a 50% increase in your attack stat, but limits you to one move. So these are expert items that really most people, newcomers, like even I when I started, you don't really want to use them because they limit your moveset. But when you think about it, they're greatly useful because you typically are not going to leave a Pokemon in a competitive battle for more than 2 or 3 turns. Sometimes you bring them in for 1 turn and you switch them out.
Yeah,
So that's
exactly.
why, especially me, I have a Pokemon. It's called Darmanitan. I named it Snowfu. If you see it, it's the gorilla like snow Pokemon,
Right,
and
okay.
I have a choice scarf on it because it's not necessarily that fast, but choice scarf gives him a 50% increase in speed, and it has ridiculous attacks. So I can most likely one shot most Pokemon out there. So that's what I do, and I lead off with him a lot. And you see him against Tim and against Cranberry how much damage he can do. But with a choice scarf, it's crucial because if you don't give him a choice scarf, he's gonna get outsped by everything, and he's a glass cannon. He can't take much hit. So it's really
Yeah,
crucial stuff like that. But we had a battle only once. It was in Sun and Moon, and it was very competitive. Like if you watch it, I watch it lately. I had used my team was really ridiculous. Like I brought a Magikarp and I brought stuff like that and you had the legendary because I knew that if I did not do that, it wouldn't be fun for you. It wouldn't be fair because it was your first and only competitive battle basically, right? So I made it,
pretty much,
but
yeah.
I was still surprised because even that, like I thought that I didn't think it would be that close because I've faced people before that had like all legendary teams, all 6, and they rage quit because they couldn't do anything. And it's not always about the Pokemon; it's how they're trained and how the team
course.
itself.
Yep.
But you were very competitive. So I think I'm not saying you would enjoy it, but I think you'd be a lot better today, and maybe bit more natural than you think simply because you've been playing RPGs all your life. But yeah, no, it's something that's I wasn't always. I've been all into Pokemon forever, but I haven't started competitive battling since Gen 5. So it's an acquired taste, but it's definitely it gives you a bigger appreciation for the series because of the competitive battles and the in-game battles against the AI are two completely different games.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. No question about that, for sure. For sure. I mean, like, there's so many times, man, where it's like, like I'm in a raid, just a raid, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, what is this guy doing? You know what I mean? Like, I picked the wrong poke, for example, and I know that, like, I'm just making this up, but let's say I have a grass type and the poke is a fire type, and I Dynamax, I'm like, that guy could have one-shotted me. You know what I mean? Like, easily. Like, he could have just, like, wiped the floor with me, and we go, like, 3/4 of the battle before I even get attacked, and then when he finally attacks me, he attacks me with a normal move.
Yeah.
And you're like, what? I'm like, what? It just doesn't make sense. But I've also now seen a lot of players who have no idea what they're doing.
So you've been playing with Tim too. I see.
Well, I think it's people like Tim because they bring in fire types to water type matches, and then they're just like, they're using like the most ridiculous moves I've seen. I just sit there, I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
But it's fun, man. Honestly, it's really fun. It's a great series, and it's my biggest regret in gaming right now, actually. Like at this point in my life, in my gaming career, if you will, it's the biggest regret I have is waiting this long to get into it. And I very much so would like to go and finish off, because I finished Gen 1, 2, and 3. I would very much like to go and finish 4, 5, and 6, right?
Yeah, 4. But I think... Did you play the remakes of Gold and Silver? Heart Gold and Soul Silver? Or did you play... No, you played actually...
Crystal.
Yeah, you played
Crystal.
Gen 2, yeah, the original Crystal, yeah. Okay, yeah. No, because I'd say... I'll go back to my wish list soon, but I'd say Gen 4 is my least favorite, but for some people it's their favorite. It depends, but I find that those that found Gen 4 their favorite are the ones that started with Gen 4. But for Gen 4, I think you could probably skip them, but I would highly recommend you play the remakes of Gold and Silver. They're just fantastic. probably.
What is that on?
It's
though?
on the DS. It's
okay,
called.
perfect. Because it's just a save feature. That's the pain in the ass because you have to go and change the battery.
Yeah. No, you
play
don't
on
have that problem, and you can play them on your
Okay.
3DS. And I think you have one of those games, if not both. And they're
I have the whole series
they're
now. I've gone
they're
back and bought everything.
fantastic, man. Probably some of the best remakes out there. They're to the same level of those Dragon Quest remakes. They're really well done.
Oh yeah, really? Yeah.
You should actually. I've reviewed Hard Gold, Soul Silver on the site, and I think I did a decent job on them. So you should check it out now that you're actually you would know what I'm saying. Gen 5, fantastic. These brought me back to the series Black and White, which I've bought you.
Okay.
These were just,
you
and
did.
they're probably the most mature storyline in the series. Really fun, actually. Those games were fantastic, and they're all brand new Pokemon. Well, now they're not brand new, but they were back then. And they actually had sequels too, which were fine. And you didn't play Gen 6 too. X and Y and RS. Yeah, you could skip the RS remakes. You already played Gen 3 on the Game Boy Advance. You don't really need to go to the remakes. Those remakes were fun, but I don't think you need to go out of your way to play them. But X and Y, very, very easy games to go through them. Very fun. So yeah, those when you have time eventually, I would recommend at least playing through Heart Gold, Soul Silver, and maybe Black and White. Okay, next up on the list is the issues I have with gym and Elite Four members and gym leaders and most even Team Rocket and whatever bad guys there are in the games is the number of Pokemon they have on their teams and the type of teams they have. Now, I do not want every single random trainer to have 6 Pokemon. I think it would make the game very tedious to get through, and it would make it long. So that's fine. But when you get to the actual gym leader of a gym, is it too much to ask that they have 6 Pokemon in their party? Like, I still to this day don't understand that. Like, we have 6 Pokemon. Why do they challenge us with 2? Even if our team is complete ass, the odds of us winning is very huge simply because we have 4 more Pokemon than them. So each of their Pokemon would have to KO 3 of our Pokemon. So it's stupid, and it's been done like that because I think in most games you won't even see one AI with a full team of 6 Pokemon until the post game. Like usually when you re-challenge the Elite Four, and even in this game, I'm not sure a Champion Cup. I don't know if they have 6 Pokemon now, but they might not. But in some games like Sun and Moon, when you re-challenge them, they had 6. But they should have 6 Pokemon from the get-go. And the gym challenge, I really like the gym challenge. I like the trials of the islands in Sun and Moon, but I prefer the gym challenge. But I wish instead of having a fire gym or a grass gym, that they would just have a gym. Just call it the
an
city,
area
like
gym.
the
Just,
Montreal gym,
yeah,
the Toronto gym.
Exactly.
And that trainer has 6 different Pokemon for 6 different types. And go ahead, try to beat him. That's it. I don't know why they keep doing this, because it's like it made sense at the beginning to teach you the basics of Pokemon, but now I don't know. I would like that aspect of the series to change. Like, please, the Elite Four members and the gym leaders should have 6 Pokemon, and maybe not of a single type, because that's really simple and easy to build a team to beat them, because you can swipe their whole team with just one Pokemon. Simple as that. As for I would like, and this is, I'm not as big as everybody else on this, because I don't think the story is as bad as people make it out to be, but it's definitely not to the same quality as most JRPGs, that's for sure. It's not as deep, although I think it's not as non-existent as people make it out to beat. There's a lot of story. For example, in Sword and Shield, just if you read the league cards of all the gym leaders, you get a lot more out of the story that if you don't, because some of the stuff is not explained. Although, like I said in my review, I think Sword and Shield probably has the weakest story so far out of all Pokemon games, simply because most of the stuff that happens out of your field of view. You don't actually see it. The champion Leon goes and fixes stuff, and you never know what happened and how he fixes it. And then once you get the bad guy reveal, you don't really, the questions you have are never answered, like why did he do what he do, what's his end goal, and why does he need to do that to save Galar or whatever it is. It's never really explained, and I think it was just a means to an end. But Sun and Moon for me had a fantastic story. Ultra Sun and Moon 2, it complemented both of them, and I just really liked it. Of course, like I said, it's not Final Fantasy VII or Dragon Quest. It's not like The Witcher. It's not that style of story. I don't think you'll ever get that from Pokemon, because I don't think Pokemon should be a heavy story-based game. But the original Pokemon Red and Blue Yellow had next to no story, yet had a fantastic story because it was exploration based and it was let to your imagination, and you were free to explore Kanto as you saw fit. And that way the story was kind of shaped around how you played, and I always love games like that. To me, I'd rather make my own story and have a nice living world, living breathing world, than being stopped every 5 minutes and told what to do and have some kind of indication of where to go, which is the problem I've had with Pokemon Sword and Shield and Sun and Moon, is that in these games they don't let you explore anymore. They stop you every 5 minutes and they tell you where to go, and if you don't go that way, they'll have a magic blocking your way, or they'll have Team Yell members just there, and for some reason you can't just sidestep and go where you want to go. You need to go where the game wants you to go. So I would want them to go back to the previous games where there were no interruptions. You would figure out what was going on by talking to the people, talking to the townspeople, talking to the gym leaders, exploring the caves, beating the villains where we actually had good villains. With Team Rocket was very good, stuff like that. Although I wish they would make the villain leaders a more serious threat, with like 6 Pokemon and more, like competitive Pokemon and stuff like that. So a more fleshed out story would definitely be on my wish list for the next Pokemon game. And probably the final and one of the most important things, and we've already touched on this, is the online system. I like competitive battles. I like 6-on-6 single battles. I don't understand why, if I want to play a 6-on-6 battle, I can't unless I specifically ask Jarrod to do so. Like, there's a ranked battle, but that's 3-on-3. Why can't I play 6-on-6? And why can't I talk to people while I'm trading with them? Like right now, having a random trade is fun, but it's chaos, because let's say I want to trade with a random people and I'm looking for Zapdos, for example. That guy has no idea what I'm looking for, and I have no idea what he's looking for. So odds are we're not actually gonna come to an agreement, and we're just gonna shut down the trade and both be frustrated because we have no way to talk. Like this in Animal Crossing New Leaf, if you remember, I had the option to text you during that game and write stuff, and you would see it appear on top of the screen when we were both online and we were on an OK list, if I give you the OK. So if I would see that you would log on Animal Crossing, I could tell you, hey, you monster, you want to go do some island activities? And you would reply, and that was it. We didn't actually need to use a cell phone device. Everything was built in the game for us to communicate. This is something that I think games have been doing since the PlayStation 2 and Xbox days, and I don't know why this is not in Pokemon yet. And I know this is a Japanese company, and like we've talked, the online systems, even though they have the technology way ahead of us, sometimes like a few years ahead or whatever, maybe not as much today. The Japanese gaming community doesn't seem to be sharing these advanced systems as much. I don't know if I'm making any sense right now, but
Yeah.
so I think that's pretty much it for my wish list. That's all I can think of right now. But those are what I would like to have in the next Pokemon games.
Well, all good stuff, man. Honestly, all good stuff, and I think all fair requests. To be really honest, I can't imagine, anyone being like, no, I disagree. And you just scared the crap out of me for Animal Crossing. So thanks for that. Because, could you imagine if there's no formal way of communicating? That'd be utterly ridiculous.
There probably won't be. That's the thing. We'll have.
Yeah, I know.
We'll have to text each other and be on Skype on separate systems too. Yeah.
It's funny though. It's really, really funny because, me, I have so much fun with the surprise trades. It's really, really funny because I now what I do is anytime I catch basically anything in like a Gmax raid, if I already have the poke and it has a better nature or better EVs or IVs or whatever, I'll just go ahead and trade the other one. And I always do a surprise trade. And let me tell you, it's brilliant. I don't know how many Meowths I have, but it's epic, man. It's epic, and it's so stupid. It really is. It's ridiculous. Like if you had one of the legendary dogs, and you wanted to trade for the other legendary dog, you literally have no way of doing that. And I just find that so stupid. I'm like, this is ridiculous.
I used to Wonder Trade because it used to be called Wonder Trade a lot before, and I even got lucky with some shinies in back in the day. I got some shinies. This game I haven't. Although I've got a random level 100 Dragapult from someone with surprise trade.
Oh, nice.
I already have the shiny version at level 100, but I thought it was cool. Someone just gave me a level 100. I don't think you watched my Let's Play series of Y, but during one of the episodes, since the whole gimmick of that series that I Wonder Trade everything I got, I actually Wonder Traded my legendary. When I caught Beetle, the legendary of Pokemon Y, I Wonder Trade away, and I don't remember what I got for it. It's probably like a Rattata or something like that. So the guy on the other hand must have been like, because I actually got, when I was playing X and Y, I actually got once a random Xerneas from a Wonder Trade, which is another legendary. So you do get some cool shit sometimes, but it's funny the stuff you get, yeah.
Yeah, well, for me, I'm just doing it for the codes, right? I'm just doing it for the lotto.
Hey, you said you won a Master Ball, and I'm trying hard to believe you, but how did you do that? Because for the first time, I've been doing the Lotto ID every day, and for the first time 2 days ago, I got the first prize, which I was sad to find out it's not actually a Master Ball, it's a rare candy, which I have over 200 of. So I guess the Master Ball prize, you need to have all digits match instead of the first 4. So how the heck did you get a Master Ball?
Then obviously not. Then the guy only gave me 2 pokes though, man. I used one. Because my problem is, anytime I do this, I typically just go next, because now I realize that no matter what you do, it's the same sound, right?
Yeah.
I'll check when I get in, but the guy, I had it, you have it.
Yeah.
Right? I didn't hack my Switch and add in a Master Ball. I have one that I used on the dog, which I feel like an idiot for, because I don't know why I did that. I used a Premier Ball for the other dog.
You managed to catch it? Nice.
Yeah, it took me 3 or 4 resets to do it.
Cranberry caught her the Premier Ball. I was pretty jealous because that was my goal too, but unfortunately I caught it in a Dust Ball or an Ultra Ball or something boring like that.
Yeah, well, like I said, it did take me a couple of resets in order to do it, but because he would wipe my whole team basically, and I wasn't gonna waste potions and all this kind of crap, so I let him basically waste my whole team. I used not false swipe. I didn't have that. Anyway, whatever the case may be, I had a poke that would like two-shot him. So, no, sorry, three-shot him. So I would hit him twice, get him down pretty low in the red, and then just spam the premier balls. Like, just literally spam them, one, like, every move until he did the wipe. And I think it was, like, 3 resets I had to do, if I'm not mistaken. But anyways, whatever the case may be, I have one ball that I used for the thing, and I had 3 balls. And I could have sworn that it was from that, because I did 2 what I call our hack trades. I'm not going to lie. And both of those came with a master ball, which I gave to Steven. But I had a third, so the surprise was when I made his team, I just put a master ball for each one of those, and I shot it over to him. But where else would I have gotten it, right?
I have no clue. I was just wondering because maybe you got super lucky because
dude, the odds, no, that's impossible. The odds are
because I have 5.
That's impossible.
5 or 6 full boxes of traded Pokemon just for the ID number, and I haven't gotten a master ball yet. So we'll see.
I'll check when I get in to see but I would have had to have manually gone to the poke and said like held item put back in bag, or I don't know. Anyway, whatever, you have it. Congratulations. I got my second shiny. So now I'm 2 for 3.
Which was what? What is your second shiny?
It's what is he called? The water dude, the water starter.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, you were saying where I don't remember his name though.
Yeah, I don't remember either. I named him Spout.
Yeah, cool. How many eggs did it take you?
I don't know offhand, but hundreds. So
hundreds.
It took three days. I think.
Oh my god, you're so lucky. I've been
something like this.
I've been trying to go because I've hatched 3 shinies so far. I've hatched a shiny Daramuka. I've hatched a shiny Dreepy, and I've hatched a shiny Scorbunny. And the Dreepy took me 450 eggs, give or take 5. Like, I counted them, and I still had the boxes and everything. The Daramuka took about 950 eggs, so give or take 50. That one I wasn't as precise. But the damn Scorbunny took over 1,500 plus eggs.
Yeah, well, dude, you need to make a video for me, like, on your egg, because I'm stopped now. Like, now I've stopped because like I was like, okay, that's enough there. I don't know if I'm doing something wrong. I really want you to somehow film. You don't need to put it on YouTube. It would be for me. Just show me what you do to shiny hunt and stuff, and for like the individual values to get the best individual values. Because what I do is I keep swapping out the like one of the, like the parent, because I use the 6 IV.
Does Ditto has the Destiny Knot?
Okay. Yes, he does. Okay, so he does. And then I just swap out my like the other parent. I keep swapping out.
Your other parent should have the Everstone, right? To have the nature. Okay.
Yes. Well, yeah. If I don't do that until I get the good nature, and then I put an Everstone on him. Or her or whatever. But what I don't understand, and I haven't watched videos, okay, it's my fault, but I thought, like, how do the IVs actually work in terms of passing it along? Because like I've got one poke has 5 IVs, perfect IVs, and the Ditto has 6 perfect IVs, yet when I breed them, sometimes I end up with like 3 decents. I'm like, what? I'm like, how's that possible? Like, it doesn't make sense, and it was happening to me all the time.
If you have a 6 IV Ditto and a 5 IV Pokemon,
shouldn't I only get one?
Guaranteed 4 IVs, so that doesn't.
It's 4, so 2. Okay, so no, that's fine. No, it's 2.
The way the Destiny Knot works is that it guarantees 5 IVs are passed down from the parents, which includes both of them. So if
so you have, the 6th is always random.
Yeah, the 6th is always random, but since you have one that's 5, the Destiny Knot could pick the bad one out of that
Yeah, I get
and
it.
give
I
you
get
a,
it. I get
yeah,
it.
okay, so you get it now.
Okay.
So
Okay.
the-
So it was 2.
yeah.
So it wasn't 3 then. So
Yeah.
it was 2. I was getting really frustrated because I was like, I'm like, if a shiny pops,
Mm-hmm.
right? So far I've been super lucky. Okay, but then I don't have the right goddamn nature. Like there's always something
Yeah,
wrong
but usually
with my breeding.
you should tell me in advance, and I could get you the right nature in 2 seconds. Because usually, I always start with the right nature. That's how I do it.
So you just breed until you get
Yes
the right
and
nature.
no, because did you notice that when you surprise trade, you'll get a lot of level 1 Pokemon? So what happens
Yeah.
is that I used to do this, and most people do, is that you get boxes and boxes of your offsprings, right? And so instead
Yeah.
of releasing them, what I do and what many people do is they want to trade them away.
Trade
so
them?
usually you
Okay.
end up check the surprise trade you get, because you'll be surprised, you'll always get Pokemon that has the right nature and that have good IVs. Like sometimes you'll have Pokemon with 6 IVs, because like for me, for example, right now I'm shiny breeding for a Milcery, and it's been probably over 2 weeks now. I'm probably close to 1,000 eggs. That's why I'm saying my luck for these games is ridiculously low, because I have never had a quick shiny. Like 450 was quick for me for Dreepy, but I don't remember what my train of thought was with that. But what I do is I breed them, and usually for me, I have a box of synchronized Pokemon. I don't know if you know what synchronize does, but synchronize is an ability, and it's really good now because in Gen 6 it's 100%. In Gen 8, I mean, it's 100%. It used to be 50%. So let's say you have Adamant Gardevoir, which is the Pokemon that I have. It's the female with the dress and whatever. It's psychic.
Okay.
You have
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
They can have an ability called Synchronize, and what Synchronize does during battles is, let's say I poison you, it will poison you back. It synchronizes. But off battle, if you have it at the top of your party and you go into battle, it will synchronize your nature to that Pokemon. So if you have an Adamant Gardevoir in battle and you face random coughing and you catch it, that coughing will 100% of the time have Adamant. So that's
Okay, I get you.
awesome
Okay,
for
okay.
shiny breeding and shiny hunting. If you want to shiny hunt in the wild, which I do from time to time, which is a lot of fun because that's how I got my shiny Corviknight.
I wanted to ask you about that, dude. Wait, just one sec before you continue. I wanted to ask you about that because I haven't done it in like the wild area type of thing. But how does you actually have to catch the poke for it to count?
No,
like you can't just run away.
no, as long as you fight 500 Pokemon, you get the best odds. Is that what you mean?
Okay, so that means I could run away. I could just constantly run away until I
you
see
need
it?
to fight them. You need to KO or catch 500
Okay,
first.
KO. Okay.
But you'd be surprised how quickly 500 goes compared to hatching. The only problem is you need a box of Synchronize if you want a nature. Again, the nature is not that big of a deal this gen because you can always buy a mint. It's just those mints are expensive if you do it often. And
Yeah, okay, so what about that? Because like for my shinies, I want to switch their nature to make it like the good nature. How exactly do I do that?
Let's say you want your shiny to be jolly nature. You go buy a jolly mint, or you use a jolly mint on that Pokemon.
Are you for real? It's that
easy. The only thing you need, because I've had a friend who made that mistake. Let's say you want your Pokemon to be adamant, but you give your Ditto an adamant mint, and you give it an Everstone. It won't work because the actual nature doesn't change. It's just the stats change. So you'll get the benefit of the nature. But that nature will not be passed down if you breed with an Everstone.
I get it. Yeah, I get it. Okay. So in other words, like it would be useful for like my 100 shinies to just switch them. Okay, I get it. Okay. And the last thing, thank you for this, by the way. I know this is not really a great podcast for people to listen to, but whatever. The last thing is I don't know if I'm doing something wrong, and maybe I'm doing it right or whatever. I fill up my party with the eggs. Okay, so like I literally just go around in circles in the wild area. If I go to the left, I find it's good. I don't get attacked. So I just go around in circles over and over and over until she crosses her arms. I take the egg. It goes directly into my party. I have the flame body colossal as my first poke. Go round. She crosses her arm again. I get another egg, and then typically the eggs start hatching before I can fill my entire party. Okay, and as they hatch, I check their IVs. If I get like one with like 5, I'll throw that in till I get one with 6. Once I get one with 6, I throw that in, and I'm constantly looking for the natures while I'm doing this. And then once I'm satisfied, so I got the right nature, and it's a 6 IV poke, I give him an Everstone, throw him in the nursery, circle around. Keep getting eggs over and over again. But like eventually, once my party fills out, they're still hatching one at a time at random intervals, and then I just throw them directly into my bag, and then I go back to the girl, grab the next egg, it goes in there, and I just continue this cycle until I get the shiny. Is that what you're doing?
Well, to each his own, but I think the most efficient method is what I'm doing, but it depends on you. First off, I switched daycares, by the way. I now do it on the daycare Route 5 because you have 0 chance of running into a wild Pokemon there. And I found that it happened a lot in the wild area daycare. I would often, and sometimes there are those dark ice Pokemon, they just charge at you and they would find me no matter what. So I switch daycare now, and it's much more efficient. What I do, and it's up to you, maybe some people do it like this, other people don't, is I will wait till all 6 Pokemon are hatched, and every time she crosses her arm, I talk to her, and the egg is sent directly to my box. And that way is that once the 6th egg hatches, I already have 6 eggs or more ready to go. The 5th egg, because you can only have 5 in your party. Sorry. So once the 5th,
okay, so whoa, I want to make sure I understand this. So you fill your party with 5 eggs, but
I keep circling around, and once he crosses her arm, I keep talking to her, and the eggs go directly to my box once my party is full.
Okay.
And then once the 5th egg hatches, usually
you switch them all out.
I switch them all out for 5 fresh eggs. Now, instead of switching them all out, I release the Pokemon I don't need right away because I don't have as much free boxes as I used to. Usually I would have 10 boxes full of Pokemon. Now, not anymore. But whatever. I put 5 fresh eggs in the party, and I keep doing this. And now what will happen is once the egg hatch, they all hatch at the same time. So you hatch one, and then you do one step, the other one hatches, you do another step.
But how does that happen, though?
Because what you're doing right now is that you don't have the eggs at the same time. For me, I put 5 fresh eggs, so they all hatch at the same time. I find that it goes way quicker that way, and it's less tedious. And this is
yeah, because that's what was happening with me, man. Was I'm just like, okay, like I need a break, because like I don't know how many. Dude, it has to be over 1,000 eggs. Like, it has to be.
Well, you said 3 days, but how many hours in a day?
Yeah.
Okay,
hours,
yeah. So maybe you've been 1,000, because I've been doing this, but it's just me. Lately, I've been doing it a little bit less hardcore as I used to, because now I'm doing other stuff. I have my egg hatching, but I'm connected online, and I'm looking for raids at the same time. So I do raids, and then I do this thing. Then yesterday, Cranberry asked to battle. So there's other stuff that I do at the same time, and sometimes I'll stop the eggs, I'll hatch the egg, and then I'll go in the wild area. I'll do some stuff. So it's a little bit better. I have noticed, though, I've been doing a lot of. I went to the Game Facts forum. A lot of people are hosting shiny dens. And I'm now having mixed feelings about those, because I now have over 40 shinies.
Wow.
Because of those. And it's just, it kind of devalues them. So I'm still like shiny, I'm still shiny breeding. And I'm just wondering when my Milcery pops, and I know I'll freak out. like I usually do. You should have seen me when my Scorbunny finally, because I was getting so frustrated with Scorbunny because he took over a month and 1,500 eggs, which is 3 times over odds to finally pop. Like, my kids were excited because they thought like they've never seen their dad jump up and down like that and act like a crazy person, like, which is why I wanted you to make that Tim video, because it's just ridiculous. Because I found that you perfectly encapsulate what happened. You said he won the lottery and doesn't realize it, because that's the feeling I had, because he has a full odds shiny, which is 1 out of 40, 98 or something like that. You have that chance. It's never happened to me, literally, in my entire life, to encounter a full odds shiny. And I've played probably 2,000, 3,000 hours in this series. And he finds one just like that. Barely breaks a sweat. Doesn't even react. And I'm like, so mad because this never happens to me. And the odds used to be way worse, by the way. In Gen 2 was 1 in 8,000, and I think it was 1 in 8,000 until Gen 5. And Masuda method was introduced. Oh, I forgot. Is your Dito is Japanese, right? Okay. Yes, so you're doing the Masuda method. Yeah. All right, that's fine.
Yeah.
So
I looked that up.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what did you think when you saw Tim's reaction?
I laughed like hell because he's like, first it pops and he's just like, he's talking about something else or whatever, and then he's like, oh, hey, wow, that's one of those shinies, guys, so I gotta be careful I actually catch this. And it's just,
and he attacks it.
It's just,
and
I know.
I told it if it would have been a critical hit, which happens often, he would have killed it.
Yeah. I would have loved that. Honestly, I would have loved it because I know Tim. His reaction would have been like, oh well, guys, next time. And that would have been it. Like, move right on. Like, no big deal. It's all good. I mean, my God, I had to change my underwear when Mewtwo popped. Like, it was like I lost my mind. And anyways, I laughed so hard, man. It was so funny.
Tim.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. We should end this up because the last 30 minutes was us talking
about street.
So if anybody else is listening right now, if you've listened so far, you deserve a cookie.
Yes, go have a cookie. And with that, we're really got to do these at a more regular interval like we used to do, and it sort of sucks that we haven't been able to do that. And I want to change that because I have lots of opportunities to do these now, so we should definitely do that. Anyways, guys, thanks a lot for checking us out, and hopefully we'll be back soon. Take care, everyone.